So today's video is going to give you some review for the next test. So let me first kind of let you know what the format of that's going to look like. So test number 4, and there's only 5 tests in Comp Sci 1, so getting close here. We've got 3 tracing questions. I should say are there. I don't know why that came out weird. The 3 tracing questions means there's those questions where you have work and you have output. Sorry, it's bugging me that that didn't show up. 3 tracing. There's something wrong with the screen there. So I should say tracing. 3 tracing questions. And then there's 2 methods. And one of these is just a single method that you're writing, and one's more like a full program, but it's a really short, easy program. And I'll talk more about what that is, give you some more tips on that at the end of the video. But first, let's get some practice with these tracing questions. So here's tracing question number 1. And on the test, I'm going to expect to see work output for any tracing question, because that's how I can follow that you're doing it correctly. And I'll do this first one with you just to get you more back into the scheme of doing these. I'm going to have you try the second and third ones on your own. So the first thing we always do is we look for the variables. So those are usually listed up at the top. We've got total, and total is initialized to 0. And we've got num, and num is initialized to 5. And then if you want to keep track of any loop variables, which in this case is just k, put that over here. All right, so then starting with the run method, we got a for loop. K starts at 1, so put a 1 under a k. If num mod 3 is equal to 2. So if when I divide the value of num by 3, the remainder is 2, I'm going to do the if statement. So 5 divided by 3, 3 goes into 5 once, and the remainder is 2, so the if is going to happen. We do total plus equals num, so total is at 0. Add num onto that. Remember, plus equals is that accumulator, so it's going to just tack on whatever this number was to total initially. So 5 plus 0, total becomes 5 now. We don't do the else. We have num plus equals num divided by 2. So first do what num divided by 2 is. Now num is an integer, and so is 2. So even though 5 divided by 2 is 2.5 in typical math, in computer math, int divided by an int has to give you an int. So 5 divided by 2 is 2.5, but it's going to just lop off the 0.5. It doesn't round, just makes that a 2. So num plus equals 2 means num goes up by 2, num becomes 7. And what do you think? Is this stuff going to print out now or only at the end? Hopefully you're saying only at the end because the for loop has to complete before those happen. Okay, so now k is 2. Num mod 3, so if I divide 7 by 3, is my remainder 2? Nope, because it would go in twice. Minus 6 give me a remainder of 1, so the else is going to happen this time. Total plus equals num mod 5. If I mod 7 by 5, what's the remainder when I divide by 5? 2. So total is going to get added on to 2. So 5 plus 2 is 7. Num plus equals num divided by 2 again. 7 divided by 2 would be 3.5. It's just going to be 3. So add 3 onto that. That becomes 10. Now k is 3. Okay, num divided by 3, is that equal to 2? No, because if I divide this by 3, 9 is as close as I can get, so the remainder is going to be 1, so the else happens again. And num mod 5, 10 mod 5, when I divide 10 by 5, I have no remainder, so total is going to add 0, so nothing's going to happen to total. It's still going to be 7. But num divided by 2, 10 divided by 2 is 5. Add that on to what num was. Num is going to become 15. I go all the way until k is 7, so now k is 4. 15 mod 3 would be 0, because 3 is a multiple of 15. So the else happens again. Num mod 5, 15 mod 5 is still 0. So total plus equals 0, 7 stays as the total. Num plus equals num divided by 2. 15 divided by 2 is 7.5, but it's going to lop off the 0.5, so just say 7. Add 7 onto num, we get 22 there. Now k is 5. 22 mod 3, that's still not 2, that's only going to be 1, because 22 divided by 3 is 7, remainder 1. So the else happens again. Num 22 mod 5 is 2. We're going to add that onto total, so total is going to go up to 9 finally. Num divided by 2, 22 divided by 2 is 11. Add that onto num. Num becomes 33. K is 6. Num mod 3 is 2. Nope, 33 is a multiple of 3, so the mod would be 0. Else happens again. Num mod 5, 33 mod 5 is 3. Add that onto total. Total comes up to 12. Num divided by 2, 33 divided by 2, what would that be? Hopefully you're saying 16. Really 16.5, but it lops it off again. 16 plus 33 is 49. Finally, k is 7. Num mod 3 equal to 2. Nope. 49 divided by 3, it's only one more than a multiple of 3 because 48 is a multiple of 3. So the else happens again. So what are we adding on to total? Hopefully you're saying 4 because 49 mod 5 is 4. Add that onto the 12, we get 16. Num divided by 2, what's 49 divided by 2? 24.5, but just 24 because they're ints. So add that onto the num. 49 plus 24 is 73. Technically, k becomes 8, but that's too big for the for loop, so that stops. And all I have left is these system.out.prints. Now, num equals is in quotes, so that's going to print out exactly as those quotes show. And then plus just means I'm switching from writing words to the value of a variable. Value of num is 73, so it's going to say num equals 73. What's the last line going to say? Total equals 16. Okay, so hopefully that reminded you a little bit about how accumulators work and how we do these tracing programs with that. If you go down to number 2, I'd like you to try this one on your own. So set up your work and your output. And then pause the video. It's one of those times when I really want you to do it, even if you don't want to, so just pause it. And then I'll go through it and you can check your answer as I go. So pause, try it, and when you're done, press play again. Good luck. Okay, hopefully you paused it and you finished and you're ready to see the answer. So I would have started by putting total equal to 10 and 9. Well, that's nice. It's actually equal to 9. And this time the loop variable I'm keeping track of is j. We start with our run method with j equaling 1. If 9 mod 9 is 0, well, 9 divided by 9 does have a remainder of 0, so the if's going to happen. 9 plus equals 5. So 9 plus 5, that becomes 14. Total plus equals 9. Hopefully you're not adding the 9 to the 10 because 9 is now 14. So at this stage, you got to look at what the last value of 9 is. It's 14. Add that onto total. Total is now 24. If you made a mistake, fix that. And then follow along as I keep going. This time there is going to be a system.out.print that happens inside the for loop. So each time it's going to print out 9 equals, and then the current value of 9, which in this case is 14. Okay, but this total doesn't happen until I'm totally done with the for loop, because that's outside. So now j is 2. If 9 mod 9 is 0, and if you'd rather, this is basically saying if it's a multiple of 9, do this, otherwise do this. 14 is not a multiple of 9, so we do the else. First we do total plus equals 9. So total's 24 right now, 9 is 14. We add those together and that becomes the new total. So total is now 28. 9 plus equals 4. 9 becomes 18. And we print out 9 equals 18. Now j is 3. 9 mod 9 is 0 because 18 is a multiple of 9. So first I'm going to do 9 plus equals 5. That brings 9 up to 23. And then total plus equals 9. Add the 23 to the 28. We're going to have 51 for the total after this stage. Oops, I'm sorry. That's something wrong there. 28 and... Oh, I just realized, sorry about that. I made a mistake in the last step. When I did 24 plus 14, I shouldn't have gotten 28, right? I should have gotten 38. Hopefully you realized that. Sorry about that. So this answer is actually 61. I think everything else is right, though. Okay, so that was the else that just happened, or the if that just happened. So now I'm going to print out 9 equals 23. Now j is 4. We got to go all the way up to 6. 23 mod 9 is not 0, so the else happens. Total plus equals 9, so 61 and 23 is 84. And then 9 plus equals 4. Add 4 onto 23, and I have 27. I'm going to print out 9 equals 27. Now j is 5. 27 mod 9 is 0. So 9 plus equals 5 brings 9 up to 32. Total plus equals 9. 84 and 32 is 116. I print 9 equals 32. And finally, j equals 6. This will be our last time through. 32 mod 9 is not 0, so do the else. Total plus equals 9 becomes 148. And then 9 plus equals 4 brings 9 up to 36. It's going to print out 9 equals 36. And then finally, at the end, now that the for loop's done, technically j becomes 7, but that's too big. We're going to say total equals the last value of total, which is 148. Okay, so that output is completely correct. So if you got that on your own, great. You're in good shape for this test. Sorry about that bobble in the middle there, but hopefully you're able to follow me. Turn over to the back. We got one more tracing question. So why don't you try this one on your own also? So take a minute and pause the video, set it up, and when you're ready, hit play, and I'll show you the answer. Go ahead. Okay, ready for the answer? If you didn't try it on your own, not my fault when you fail the test. Work. Output. List the variables. We've got total, this, and that. Total is 0. This is 26. That is 5. And then we've got k as our loop variable to keep track of. It's only going to run 5 times, starting with k equals 1. If this mod 3 is not equal to 0, so what does that mean? This means if it's not a multiple of 3. Sometimes it's easier to put it in words. So that means else would be if it is a multiple of 3. Okay, well, this is 26. 26 is not a multiple of 3. So the if's going to happen. Total plus equals this. Total becomes 26. We skip over the else. This is going to go up by 7. So this becomes 33. That's going to go up by 3. So that becomes 8. Nothing prints out till the end because all those system.out.prints are outside of that for loop. Now k is 2. 33 is a multiple of 3, and that's what I'm looking at, this. So if it is a multiple of 3, the else is going to happen. I'm going to do total plus equals that. So total plus equals 8. 26 and 8 is 34. This is going to go up by 7, so now that's at 40. That's going to go up by 3, so now we're at 11. K is 3. If this is not a multiple of 3 and 40 is not a multiple of 3, if's going to happen. So total plus equals this. Total comes up to 74. Skip over the else. This plus equals 7 means this becomes 47. That plus equals 3 means that becomes 14. And now we're on time 4. 47 is this. That's still not a multiple of 3, so the if's going to happen again. Total plus equals this. That's going to become 121 when I do 74 plus 47. Skip the else again. This goes up by 7, so this becomes 54. That goes up by 3. That becomes 17. And then finally, I'm at k equals 5. Now, 54 is a multiple of 3. So this time, the else is going to happen. Total plus equals that. 121 and 17 is 138. And then this plus equals 7 means this goes up to 61. That plus equals 3 means that goes up to 20. 6 is technically too big, so that's out. For loop is done, and I can do the system.out.prints. And your final answer is going to say this equals 61. That equals 20. And total equals 138. Okay, now we've got one final question on this review sheet, and then we'll be done. So I told you there's going to be 3 tracing type questions like you just saw. There's going to be one code writing question that's kind of similar to this one, right? The hierarchy chart and block of code that would find and output the sum of all multiples of 3 from 1 to 100. So this one's going to look similar to what you have on your test. So first you have to write a hierarchy chart. And for your hierarchy chart, I'm looking for any methods that you're going to write. I need to see the name of that method, so make sure you name it. Don't forget about that. And some basic plan so that I know what you're going to be doing. So if we're going to print out the sum of all multiples, maybe I'll call my method calcsum or something like that. So again, don't forget to name your method. That thing that's boxed right now, people forget a lot, so make sure you do that. And then how are you going to do this? I'm going to output the sum of all the multiples of 3 from 1 to 100. So I'm going to have to first find the multiples of 3 and then accumulate them onto something called a sum. So since I'm going to use an accumulator, I'd also want to put int sum in my hierarchy chart. That's going to be my accumulator. We're going to start it at 0. And then I want to go from 1 to 100. So what do you know that you can use that starts at 1 and will go all the way up to 100? Hopefully you're saying a for loop. So you have a for loop times 100. So I is going to be 1. You're going to check if 1's a multiple of 3. You're going to check if 2 is a multiple of 3. You're always checking if I is a multiple of 3. So how are you going to do that? There's going to be an if statement. If I mod 3 is equal to 0. If the answer is yes, we want to accumulate that onto the sum. So you're going to do that by doing sum plus equals I. I should say sum. That's that part that's not working well here. And if there's not a multiple of 3, we don't really want to do anything with it. And then it says find and output. So at the end, we have to print the sum. Okay, so that's all I'm looking for from the hierarchy chart. I'm going to be kind of lenient about that, but I am going to take off if you don't show me the name of the method and at least some sort of legible description of how it's going to work. Okay, so now for the code. When you're writing the code, it has to be perfect with all the semicolons, parentheses, you can't miss anything. So the name of our method is calcsum, but we also have that variable. So at the top, you need to list the variable. Int sum equals 0. So don't forget to write your variables. That has a semicolon at the end. It also has to have the type, so you need to have int written for that. And now for the method calcsum, you're going to have public void the name of the method, which is calcsum. Create your double parentheses after that. And we said inside here we're going to have a for loop running 100 times. So here's 4. And just as a test tip, if you're on the test and forget the perfect syntax for a for loop, go back to the tracing questions. There's probably some for loops in there so you can kind of see what they look like. Same with ifs and elses. So we're going to have for int I, oops, equals 1. I'm going to go up to 100, so I is less than or equal to 100. I plus plus. You're checking for multiples of 3, so we need to have if I mod 3 is equal to 0. Remember, when you're checking if something's equal, you need the double equals. We're going to accumulate onto sum. So sum plus equals I with a semicolon. And then close the parentheses. We don't need an else because nothing's going to happen if we aren't a multiple of 3. So that's the end of the for loop. And then don't forget it said I was supposed to print out the sum. And if you're doing a test, do it as easily as you possibly can. So system.out.print. If you want to put ln, that's fine. If you want to write sum equals and quotes and all that, you can. But again, the easiest way would just be to print out the variable called sum just like that. And that'd be your final answer. Okay, so there's going to be a method somewhat similar to that. It might be slightly trickier on the test, but again, you have to know this idea of accumulating up something and then printing out the answer at the end. And then finally, there's going to be one question that kind of asks you to write a full program. And I said I'd give you some hints about that. The last question on the test is going to ask you to use IPO design. And remember, that just stands for input, process, output. That's input, process, output. So for the input, you're going to need a get info method. So make sure you know how to say like system.out.print, enter a number. You'll need that line that's like num equals in.nextInt. Make sure you know how to do that, because that'll be on there. You don't need to know that system in equals new, that stuff. That'll be written for you up at the top, but make sure you know how to do a get info method, a simple one. Process is when you're going to do a calculation. So you could just call it public void calculate and do whatever calculation I ask you to do. And then in the output, you're just going to be printing out your results. So you don't have to worry about decimal format or nothing crazy like that. It's going to be a pretty simple program, but I did just want to mention, make sure that you know how to do a get info method, because that I am going to ask you to write. Okay, so that's the review for the test. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me, but you should be all set.